This is Algebra 1. We are finishing lesson 4.2 today. We graphed equations by plotting points. Now we're going to talk about the second part, horizontal and vertical lines. If an equation only has one variable shown, if it only shows y equals something or x equals something, that means it's going to be horizontal or it's going to be vertical. But what you have to understand, you know that on a plane, you know that this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis, the one going up and down. Whatever value is shown, or whatever variable I should say is shown, the opposite one's going to hold true. So for example, the first one says y equals b. So no matter what the number is for y, if it were here, that means the y value is always going to be here. So you're going to have a line that looks like this, or like the picture here. Okay. So notice it mimics the x-axis. So anything that's y equals something is going to be a horizontal line. If you ever get confused between horizontal and vertical, remember horizontal lines act like the horizon. If you look out on the horizon, it goes across. So think about the horizon. Vertical lines, on the other hand, say x equals something. So again, same thing on a plane. This is your x-axis. If it was x equals this value, x is going to be that value no matter where you graph it, and you're going to have a vertical line for it. So for this one, it's a horizontal line, and for this one, it is a vertical line. But again, be alert. Anytime you only have one variable, it's either going to be horizontal or vertical. Graphing y equals something. So graphing horizontal lines. Graph y is equal to -3, and I know it's somewhat done for you already, but let's see how we get it. The equation does not have an x. It does not have x as a variable. It only has one variable. We can see it only has y. It doesn't have x. Okay. So since it doesn't have an x value, that means all of those x values are going to be different. Notice, though, that all of the y values are exactly the same. Y's value is -3. That is true based on the equation. So each one of these 3 points would be a solution to this equation because they're all at -3. So on your graph, all of them are at -3. Notice this value is -3 here. This is -3. They're all -3. No matter what your x value is, they're all -3. And it just so happens that our x values are -3, 0, and +3. But all of them are -3. So the graph of the equation is horizontal line 3 units below the x-axis. Right next to it, sketch this one. Y equals -1. Just take about 20 seconds to sketch it. You ain't got to be pretty. Just do it right next to it. Again, y is -1. If you get confused which one's which, this is the x that goes across. This one, you can make a capital Y out of it because it goes up and down. So if y's value is -1, you know your negative value is here. It's going to cross through there. Your y value is going to be -1 here. It's going to be -1 here. It's going to be -1 the whole way. Therefore, you're dealing with a horizontal line that looks like that. The next example is graphing x equals something. So again, just like on example 3, this one only has one variable, x equals 2. Again, just like example 3, all of your x values are 2, which makes all 3 of them solutions to the equation. If you plugged in 2, you get a true statement. So it's going to be a vertical line, x is 2, and it'll be 2 units to the right of the axis because this value, this point 2, -3 is here. This point 2, 0 is there, and 2, +3 is there. And it's 2 no matter where your y value is. Your x is still going to be 2. So again, you have one variable, x, makes either a horizontal or vertical. X value gives you a vertical line. Let's change this one. Let's do x equals -3. Graph that one for me real quick right next to it. Again, it should be easy. Biggest part with this is remembering which one's x and which one's y. That's the mistake people make. Remember the y, you can make a capital Y out of that one. The x goes across the road. Everybody remember this or familiar with this symbol right here? When you're talking about driving, everybody knows what this is? What's that mean? Railroads crossing across the road. Some of y'all starting y'all driver's ed training or at least learning some of that stuff. Railroads crossing across, or it's going across the road. So that may be one way you could think of the x coming across the road. But x's value is -3. You know positive numbers are this way, negative numbers are this way. So at 1, 2, 3, it crosses through at that point. Doesn't matter. You can do it here or here or here. It'll be -3 no matter what it is. So it's going to be a vertical line at x's value being -3. And that's it for today.